Cancel culture is a disease. There, I've said it, and I am not going to take it back. I am sick to death of seeing businesses that I care about and who are making a positive difference in the world who keep getting canceled and censored because someone, somewhere, somehow doesn't agree with one of their opinions. So today on Renegade News Live, I'm going to introduce you to the cure. And we're also going to dive into the system that we use to keep our audience and our customers safe and set up in a way that can be never taken away. Welcome back. It's Renegade News Live. Welcome back to Renegade News Live, where freedom lovers like you can learn how to create a cancer-proof business, get back your privacy and your data sovereignty, and create the kind of income and the type of free time that's needed to pursue your life's mission. I'm your host, Glenn Kowalski, and if you can give me 5, that's right, just hit 5 in the comments right now, and I'll send you my free Renegade Business Cheat Sheets, absolutely free. And those will allow you to discover the exact system that we use to make your business cancer-proof, even in a super cancel culture charged environment. You probably already know that conservative and libertarian business owners in today's climate face this really difficult challenge that's getting harder. As the political opinions of the big tech corporations and the current government in power becomes more progressive and more left-leaning, those who are expressing a different opinion are really starting to find themselves targeted, they're censored, they're suppressed by their competition, by government, and even by the actual platforms that they use to reach out to their customers. I'm talking about things like the social media platforms that are censoring, advertising platforms who have been doing it for years against everybody, not just with controversial opinions, but just about anybody in any field. We're seeing it more with email and web hosts. And sometimes when you're in business, it can actually feel like everybody that you deal with and everybody that you're giving business to, it can almost feel like they're out to get you. And it's always felt like this game, like I said, especially in advertising. It always felt like you had to watch yourself really closely, and it was always really difficult to run your business, and you almost felt like the people that you were doing business with were almost against you. And it's gotten so much worse over the last few years with more and more cancel culture moving in and making anybody who has an opinion different from whatever the current thing is feel like they're being attacked, because they are being attacked. They're being censored, they're being silenced. Anybody who has an opinion or information that's contrary to the prevailing opinion of the groups or the people who are in power, whether that be a government, whether that be the big tech, anything that goes against that narrative is being attacked, it's being censored, it's being shut down, it's being silenced all the time. And that type of censorship obviously has big repercussions on your business. It's bad enough when your personal life gets damaged and you get put into Facebook jail for a week or Facebook jail for a month, whatever that is. But if you own a business, that can be seriously damaging for your business. That can include damaging your brand recognition. It can cause unfair competition if your competition uses that against you. And there can even be some legal consequences in some severe cases where having an opinion that's not part of the narrative is being labeled misinformation. You know, so much thing over the last few years, misinformation that turned out to be true, and stuff that was considered true that has turned out to be misinformation. But anything that doesn't agree is being attacked, it's being censored, and it's being shut down. And it's coming to a crescendo, I feel like. It's been getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and I think more people are recognizing it. But because of the way the censorship is happening, because of the way that things are being shut down, what's happening is that a lot of us who feel, in whatever regards it would be, whether it be medical, business, financial, politics, social issues, if we don't agree with those narratives, we feel like we're isolated because all of the voices that agree with us are being silenced out. So it can almost feel like you're alone and you're the only one in the world who feels that way. You feel isolated, and that's really the goal, and that's why they do it. Even more so than to stop spreading that information, was just to make you feel like you're alone if you take those types of views. And because this can be so damaging to your business, it can really turn into a lot of us self-censoring, shutting up, just trying to follow the narrative just to keep our business going because we fear that backlash and that censorship. And it's probably gotten so bad for you, especially if you're a business, that you might find yourself self-censoring. You might feel like you're walking on busted eggshells all the time because you don't want to end up in Facebook jail, or you're worried that you're not going to be allowed to advertise, or that you're going to lose your advertising accounts. So many people that's happened to. And maybe you've gotten to the point where you're starting to keep your opinion to yourself completely. But even that doesn't work, and it's certainly not the right answer, because by keeping your opinion to yourself, there's people who you care about that are being harmed because the information that you have is important to them. It's vital that people know what your message is. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten into your business, right? I mean, that's why you got into that business, was to get the information out. So if you're censoring that and you're being forced to hide it, you're actually doing harm to the people who can use that information. You might also find, in maybe a less severe case, that you're just having trouble connecting with the type of customers who you actually want to do business with. All of us like to do business with people they like. We've all been in the past, we've gotten involved with people in our business, and depending on what your business is, the amount of this you can get away with varies, but we've all done business with people who, even if it's not directly related to our business, has a different view on certain things, and that can make it very difficult. And so we all want to do business with people that we want to do business with. I like my clients. I like who I'm working with. I want to continue to like who my clients are, and if I can't connect with them at a personal level because I'm being censored, then how am I going to find those people that I connect with? And it can get even worse than that, because you could see, if you're looking at things and you're seeing that maybe the world's moving in the wrong direction for you, or your country's moving in the wrong direction, or your town, or even your business or your community, and if those are moving in what you see as the wrong direction and you feel all alone and isolated, it can make you feel unable to do just about anything about it. But that's not your fault, obviously. I mean, really, what choice do we have, right? I mean, if you speak out, you're going to lose your social media. You could lose your ad platforms. Hell, you could even lose your website host. I mean, look what happened with Parler is, a typical example that we talk about all the time. I mean, here the president of the country, a social platform was supporting a current president, and all the big tech got together and they lost their account. Parler was essentially pushed out of the market completely by big tech. But on a smaller scale, that can happen to you. Your host, if you look at your terms of servicing, depending on where you're hosting, they could actually shut you down if they don't like your message. Your email provider can do it. Even your payment processor, and this is what it gets seriously bad, even your payment processor can shut you down. So you may or may not have known that, but if you have an email provider and an automation provider, like ActiveCampaign or Keep or GetAResponse or any of those, they can actually cancel your account just for talking about something they don't disagree with. I know that ActiveCampaign had in their terms of service that talking about cryptocurrency could get you banned. Now, how it was enforced is not entirely clear. I know of crypto companies who were shut down. I know of other companies that talk about crypto all the time and haven't been. So how it internally is actually regulated, that's up to them. But again, if you're on their platform, they can shut you down if you don't agree with your opinion. And if that happens to you, you're not only going to lose your email list, which is obviously your most important asset, but you're going to lose all the mail you've written. You're going to lose all the automations that you've done. You're going to lose all of the data that you created. So many things. It's not just a list. It's everything that your business relies on. Then we got Google, one of the big 5 tech that we talk about a lot. And if you've ever read their terms of service, you know that they can cancel your account if you just so much as store a document on their Google Drive. This isn't, a conspiracy theory. This is just a fact. I've read the terms myself. And if they don't agree with a document that's on your drive, they can actually cancel your whole account. So you're going to lose your email accounts if they're on Google Suite, your spreadsheets, documents, and so much more. And then we get into the stuff that's really bad, like your payment processors. There was, I'm sure you remember not too long ago, PayPal had this document leak that stated if they so much as disagreed with your opinion on something, they could fine you like $2,500, just take that right out of your account. Now, sure, there was this huge backlash and they did have to go back on that decision, but that was only due to the backlash, and I hear that it's back in and they put a slight change of wording to make it a little bit less clear, more clear, but it still exists. It is the end result, and the fact that they put it in before means they could put it in again. And these are the kinds of things that they're thinking about. We already know the banks are doing it. It was JP Morgan, I believe, who just canceled Kanye West due to his opinion. Now, personally, I'm not a big Kanye fan. I don't really like the guy. But I don't think that that gives anyone the right to freeze all of his bank accounts and shut him out just because he has an opinion that you don't agree with. And more to people I do agree with, this happens recently in Canada, where when they had the trucker protests going on, if you donated to the truckers, you were having your bank accounts frozen and shut down just for sending like $50 to your bank. You were having your accounts shut down. And of course, the platforms did it first, like GoFundMe. They stole all that money, and I believe they've given it back now. I don't really know what's happened there, but first of all, they froze it. But then the banks started freezing accounts for people who just donated $50. It's insane. Now, I don't know who you are. I don't care what your opinion is on most things. That's your opinion, and that's what matters. And maybe you agree with the current people in power. You agree with big tech and that structure, that progressive left-leaning that we've taken right now. And so it doesn't bother you that you're canceling or censoring or that they're blocking dissenting opinions. But what happens when that regime changes? What happens when the shift comes? Everything's a pendulum. So what happens when it's your views that they want to cancel? Because history shows that it's going to happen. If it's happened once over here, it's going to happen over here as well. So eventually it's going to happen to you. So sure, you can keep your opinion to yourself. You know, you can store all your business assets on paper and store them in your filing cabinet. You cannot talk about any of your personal opinions during working hours. But the person who doesn't have an opinion, and the person who doesn't share that opinion, especially in this world of, you know, social media, and especially if it's your business to be an expert where you have to be seen as authority, the person who doesn't have an opinion is boring. Life without opinions and dissent and good discussions and debate on different issues is boring. It's one-sided. It's never going to solve any problems if there's only ever one side presented. You can't even have a proper discussion. So all of those things just, they screw the business environment. They make it they make it boring. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Life in general just becomes so gray when everybody's this NPC character, this non-playing character where nobody has an opinion of your own. Life is boring. And if you're an expert, you're never going to be seen as an authority if you're not sharing your opinion. And if you're storing your stuff on paper and you can't access technology because you're worried about being blocked, you're never going to be able to get your messages out to the masses or to make the type of impact that can actually change lives or even change the world. So you need a solution that gives you control and ownership of your data, your processes, and your assets, and something that doesn't keep you completely outside of the mainstream business environment, because that's where your customers live. That's where your customers spend their time. And that's where you have to be able to spend your time as well. So you need to find a solution that allows you to make an impact with the people who matter to your business the most. To your business the most. And you want to do it in a way that's you're not feeling like you're walking on eggshells all the time. You don't want to feel like you're self-censoring, or worse, that you're watering down your message, which is just the worst. And you need a way where you can free yourself up from the day-to-day of your business at that same time, all those day-to-day boring activities, so that you're freed up to make an impact and make that impact in the world, because that impact is what's going to allow you to create an income, and that income and the impact together is what's going to allow you to pursue your life's message. But how do you do that? Like, how do you finally cure this cancel culture, this censorship once and for all? Because if you don't, it's going to give you nothing but frustration. We've all felt the frustration of being canceled, been thrown into Facebook jail, most of us. And eventually that frustration is going to build up to the point where it removes all the pleasure that you've ever felt running your business, running your life. It can really be soul-sucking. And worse yet, like I said earlier, you're never going to be able to pursue your life's mission. Now, fortunately, there is a cure. But you don't want to do it by censoring yourself, and you don't want to crawl into your shell and just be quiet. And you certainly don't want to do it by just giving up and accepting the status quo in the current narrative, whatever that current narrative is. And that's fine. Sometimes whatever the current narrative is, you may agree with. But you want to agree with it because that's your own opinion, not because that's what you hear on the news, not because that's what's being fed from you. You want to be able to be yourself, and you want a solution that allows you to be yourself. You don't want to hide from who you really are. You want something that doesn't hurt your business, but it helps you make an impact with the people that you want to work with. And one that allows you to solve those big problems in your business, in your life, and in the world. And really, I can sum up the cure for this problem, this cancel culture, this censorship environment, in one word. And that word is ownership. Because most business owners, they don't own their own business. They build on other people's platforms. Look at your own business. That's probably what you're doing. Maybe you're relying on sponsorship, or you're relying on selling other people's products. Maybe you're using other people's automation or hosting or email systems. All of those things can be taken away. Maybe your hosting is in a jurisdiction that isn't freedom of speech friendly. Or maybe you're accepting cash from institutions like PayPal and from banks who can freeze your accounts. And you don't have an ownership of that because they control it. They control that platform. And what happens is, because you're playing on these other platforms, they can shut you down anytime because you don't have this asset, this ownership of your own assets. You're going to end up making less of an impact because you're scared to play big, but you don't have to. And you can really take ownership of your business and take ownership of the assets by working in jurisdictions that have freedom of speech, by actually owning your own systems that run on your own servers, for example, by owning your own products, creating your own product suites, and owning your own information and keeping it stored in ways that people can't take away from you because you own it. Owning your own list, owning all of those marketing assets, your funnels, really owning them as opposed to working on rented systems, because rented systems on any of those platforms, whether you're talking about anything controversial or not, it doesn't matter. They can be taken away. I know people with guitar businesses who have gotten lifetime bans on advertising on Facebook. I know people who relied on affiliate products and the affiliate product just went away or changed the terms of service. So even if you're not in something controversial, you can lose your business anytime for just about any reason if you're renting the systems that you work on. It pays to be an owner in your assets, in your marketing assets. Everything that you build your business, everything that you build your business on should be built on a solid foundation where you own everything. And like I said, that could mean on your own servers, it could mean in jurisdictions that have freedom of speech. You have to use strategies in order to make sure that you have the most control and the most ownership you can. And that's where, like in our case, we use what's called the Renegade Impact System. And it's a proven system, and it's been honed in over the years, working with a number of different clients, working on our own stuff. And it's based on the latest data, the latest tactics and strategies, which are always constantly changing the system and moving things around. The core system stays the same because it's so proven, but we've kind of moved the order of things around and the order in which we apply the steps so that you really do own your business and you really do own what you're creating. Because once you own what you're creating, no one can ever take that away from you. So I'm going to kind of dive into like how our system works a little bit, and you can see how you can use it within your own business just by kind of seeing the areas that we take a look at. So we call it the Renegade Impact System. It's a system that we use to make sure that your business is really owned. And there's a number of different steps that you go through in order to build this solid foundation for your business. And it's a business where you're making a bigger impact, you're making a bigger income, and you're pursuing your life missions. That's really our goal in life, is to help you pursue your life's mission. So there's 3 steps or 3 pillars that your business has to be built on within the Renegade Impact System. 3 areas of your business that you have to work with and you have to look at. First of all, you have to investigate. You have to investigate your market and your business. We'll talk about a little bit more details in just a second, what exactly that means. But you have to really be strategic and design your business and your framework and your systems and your platforms to be the type of business that you want. Then we have the infrastructure, and this is what we've been talking about a lot, is your infrastructure, the infrastructure that you're building your business on. Do you own your automation system, or is it rented? Do you own your hosting platform, or again, is it rented? Is it on something like Wix, where they can just cancel you because you don't live up to their terms of service? These types of things. And finally, we have what's really the culmination of all of this and what makes everything else work so that you can pursue your life mission, and that's your impact and how you're making an impact within the market and within your audience and growing the important audience. So let's talk a little bit more specific, and then we can kind of talk about those details. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the comments. I'm going to try and keep an eye on those. To just keep an eye out and watch if there's any questions coming in. But in the first part of the system, you have to, first of all, before you can do anything, you need to investigate the system. And the investigate phase is broken down into basically three different steps. First of all, you have to take the red pill. And this is something that all of us are at various places, but we have to take the red pill to really understand that your business is at risk. And once we've done that, we can then investigate the risks that you're going through in your business. Are you at risk of losing your automation host because their terms of service say that you can't talk about crypto and you're in a crypto business or a Web 3.0 business? Or maybe you can't run affiliate sales through that platform and you want to run affiliate business. There's all sorts of risks. Maybe your advertising is at risk because you're talking about financial or you're talking about medical. Medical, huge risk, especially if your views on those markets are more lean towards the natural or the alternative side. You also, on the other side of the risk, you want to look at your opportunities. Like, what opportunities are out there? Are there other places that you're not looking at? Are there Web 3.0 platforms that you can be using? Are there opportunities to own your own systems that you're using? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when I talk about the infrastructure steps. But what opportunities are there for you to improve on? You really want to take an audit of everything in your business, everything that you're doing. You also want to look at your product, and I call it product suite development, because brands aren't built on a product. Somebody said this to me. Mike, thanks. A friend of mine talked about this. But businesses and brands aren't built on a product. They're built on product suites. And there's a reason for product suites can help your business grow and become stronger, because it gives you different ways to deliver your message. And that means you can talk to a wider variety of customers, obviously, from low-end customers who don't have a whole lot of money to customers who do have more money and can invest more. So there's that. But by having a variety of different products and product suites, it also protects you from cancel culture, because if for some reason one thing gets blocked, let's say you have a book that gets blocked, for example, you may have a course that's not blocked. There's different ways, and any type of diversification is always good, and product suite diversification and development within your business is a huge game changer within your business. Next, you want to look at your audience and really knowing your audience. Over the past centuries, they said that the business environment was controlled by oil. So the people who control the oil, they are the ones who are the wealthiest. They're the ones who have the most power, the most control within the market. Going forward over the next century, that's changing to audience. And now it's the people who can control an audience, and I don't want to use the word control. It's the people who can attract an audience, the people who have an audience who are interested in their message, who are interested in their businesses, who are interested in the solutions that their business provides, and the people who listen to them. Those audience is what's going to make the difference over the next centuries. And the people with the largest audiences or the most engaged audiences are going to be the ones with the biggest businesses. And to do that, you have to understand your market. You have to understand the market you're in, and you have to understand those people who are in your market better than they understand themselves sometimes. You also want to design a product suite, like we talked about in the last step a little bit, And you want to be able to really dive into what messages are resonating with that audience. I said here, do it without spending days in Facebook hell. What I mean is, if you look at a lot of the traditional audience building methods, or the traditional audience research methods that people are using, a lot of them are spending time in Facebook forums. And that's good, that's all powerful, but there are better ways to get to know your audience now. And understanding and learning what those are will make your life so much easier and so much more enjoyable. The next step that we want to do is we want to look at your messaging and your messaging framework, because that's going to allow you to create compelling and irresistible copy and set you up for getting your message out. So beyond copy, it's just how you talk to your audience, how you wrap your message. Does your audience understand the message that you're delivering, that you're talking about? Do they resonate with your worldview? And that could be your social issues, your politics, depending on what kind of business they're in. Maybe it's your medical frameworks or your view on natural medicine. Maybe it's your view on the financial markets. Some people, Warren Buffett thinks that crypto and Bitcoin is a scam. Others, mostly I'm sure in my market and the people that I'm talking to, we understand that cryptocurrency, it really is the future. So are you talking and resonating your message in a way that people understand that, yes, you're a crypto guy. I'm a crypto guy. Most people who hate crypto probably aren't big fans of my audience, even though there are aspects I can still help with your business. If you're not into crypto, you're probably not going to resonate with me the same way. Setting your message also helps to do things like set you up for best delivery. If people aren't seeing your message, then they're not going to be able to get your message. You're not getting your message out. And it also allows you, by having this message that resonates with your audience, you can stop sounding like a used car salesman. I mean, I grew up hating sales and hating salesmen, I thought, because of this pushy, drivey message that, the typical salesman, your typical salesman. You don't need that when you're talking to your audience, when you're communicating in the way that they want to hear you. So that's really kind of wraps up our first step. The next step in the system is our infrastructure. And this is really the core of how you become cancel proof. It's where the magic really happens. And this is one of the places where our system is different from anything else that's out there, or that nobody else is even really talking about, or very few people are talking about. So it's something that we've been proud of, that we can really talk to, because so many people are not talking about it, and you're going to understand it all in a moment as well. But your infrastructure includes your platform. That's your core. Everything you build is built on a platform. Any marketer you talk to, that's what they're going to talk about, is your platform. If you're an author, you hear about platform all the time. But your platform is things like your website and your membership area and your presentation areas, if you do live streams and webinars and summits and those types of things. All of those things are your platform. Your books can also be considered your platform. Even your courses and your other presentation materials, those are all considered your platform. So the question you need to ask yourself is, do you own that platform? And in most cases, the answer is no. Most people don't own that platform. Most people are just renting it. And maybe in some cases it's not possible to own it, but if you're renting it, or you're renting it someplace that's freedom of speech friendly. Are your servers set up in Iceland, for example, or in Finland, where you are protected by strong freedom of speech and strong privacy laws that you don't have in the US? Are you on a platform like Wix or ClickFunnels or any of the all-in-one systems out there? Now, I love all-in-ones, and I don't want to bash them, and there's certainly places for them. But the fact of the matter is, if you're on one of those, you can have your business canceled. So you better at least have a backup plan for that, because that can happen. Next, you have your assets that you use in your business. So your assets are things like your email list. The most important asset that anyone has, we talked about it earlier, your audience. Everything's about your audience, and your email list is the one audience that you can truly own. Any audience you put on social media, for example, your social audience, that's great, they're your audience, but you don't own that. That can be taken away from you. Even in the decentralized world, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you can still, that's still not your audience. You can still lose it. I mean, that decentralized platform could be shut down. There's all sorts of things that can happen. So your email list, your automation, all your automations that you write, like I said, if you have your automations on a all-in-one or on an autoresponder like ActiveCampaign or Keep or GetResponse, any of those, Entreport, any of those, they can, if they cancel it, you're going to lose all those automations. And if you're anything like me, your automations have, you've spent a ton of time writing those automations and setting them up. You don't want to lose them. You also don't want to lose your documents, your spreadsheets, your presentations, your PDFs that you give to customers. We talked about that earlier, how Google can delete all of that in a heartbeat if they don't agree with just one document that's on your system. And next, and possibly more importantly, almost definitely more importantly, is your payment systems. Do you own that, or are you relying on PayPal, who can take $25 out of your account because they disagree with your opinion? Are you working with a bank that could suddenly freeze your account because they found out that you donated to a cause they don't agree with? Or are you setting up backup systems so you always have a backup plan? Are you accepting crypto, the one type of money that nobody can ever take away from you if it's set up correctly? That's truly owning your own system. It's truly owning your own bank. I don't want to go down that road, but I'm so passionate about it because cryptocurrency does allow you to own your own bank. You are your own banker when you're using that. Something that's super, super powerful if you're trying to build a business and trying to build a cancel-proof life. That's something we want to talk about more, is like not just building a cancel-proof business, but making your entire life cancel-proof. And one of the core pieces to that is going to be cryptocurrency, because the world's going down the road of CBDCs. And once that happens, you're going to have no control over your money at all. Even with cash, it's limited. Cash is okay. Credit cards, a little bit less so. CBDCs, zero. So there's all these sort of scale of okay to terrible, but cryptocurrency is the one that you can really own yourself and be your own banker on. So it's definitely something you got to look into. A little bit of an aside there, because it's just so vital. But the final pillar in our particular system is your impact. And this is really for business owners what it all comes down to. Because if you're not making an impact, and I don't care if you have an e-commerce brand, I don't care if you have, I don't care what your business is. Now, we primarily work with experts, with influencers, course creators, information marketers, those types of sort of expert businesses where impact is super, super critical. But even as these other businesses, having that impact is important. So you want to be able to build these in a way that they're systematized, where they're effective based on some of the first steps where your message is effective. But you want to be able to build those in a way that's also cancel proof, because you're using your infrastructure. Again, so if you look at the pillars, you have your first pillar, which talks about your audience and your message. Then you built your infrastructure. Now is where you actually put that into play and start building the type of impact that takes your income and your reach to the next level. So that's things like, your marketing funnels, how you're building your marketing funnels. How are you building your audience? How are you generating leads? How are you generating sales? I also love live events. Live events like summits, workshops, and webinars are so powerful for your business. There's nothing else out there that lets you get in front of the right people and really show them who you are, what your message is, how you can help them, and how you can make a difference in your customers' lives. Live events are great for that. They're super, super, super powerful for that. I believe there's something that everybody should be using, something I'm very passionate about. But then we also have the next level stuff. And this is where the market is getting really fun and where things are changing so fast. You have all sorts of things with Web 3.0 that's changing, that's giving us back our control because of decentralization. We're getting back control of our businesses. We're getting to a place where people can't cancel us because things are so decentralized and so community driven. Decentralized social media. At our summit coming up, we're talking to Kingsley Edwards from Float about decentralized social media and the power that it's going to have. But there's so many other options as well. There's also things like metaverse and creating these spaces, something that we're looking at internally. You're going to want to watch us really closely for this. We might have some exciting news about the summit coming up. Watch for that. Don't want to say anything too soon because we're still in discussion. But having your events in virtual reality, where instead of looking at a screen with, little squares with all your speakers on it and everybody being distracted. I know that, like, I'm in a lot of virtual meetings and they're great. They're a great way to have meetings without actually having to travel. But it's still possible if you're in a Zoom room, especially if somebody's talking, to, have a conversation with, somebody else who's in the conversation, or maybe just not even in the conversation at all. Go search your Facebook, go get distracted. But what if you're in a virtual reality event or virtual reality coaching space now? Well, now you're engaged just like you are in person. Really, really cool stuff. And there's some super exciting stuff coming. I can't wait to talk some more about all of those things, how our system's going to plug in, how we're going to be offering all of these services to our clients. And these are things you can do on your own. So that's, like, the big thing is you have to take ownership. You have to look at what your business is, investigate your opportunities. You have to build on an infrastructure that you actually own. And then you have to use those two pieces to make a bigger impact. And that's the key to building the type of income and free time and a cancel-proof business that lets you pursue what your life's mission is. And fortunately, even though cancel culture is getting so bad these days, it's getting so out of control, it's becoming a disease. There's no other way to put it. It feels like it's everywhere, and it feels sometimes like we're losing the battle, but we're not. And it is still possible to fight back against that cancel culture and that censorship in your business while still making a difference. But to do that, we have to embrace new tools, we have to embrace new technologies, and we have to embrace new processes, new systems, all of those. And that might mean, changing up some of your existing systems and stepping out of your comfort zone to learn some new tools. It might mean becoming an early adopter in some of the Web 3.0 technology that's still out there, still unproven, still maybe even a little bit scary. But it will mean doing things differently than you have. If you want to chat about your business specifically, just set up a meeting with us, absolutely free. Just go to palmtreeresearch.com/booking. We can chat, go over there anytime. And we can talk some specifics about your business. Watch our channel, watch the other videos that we have on the channel. We have a whole bunch of new training materials that are coming out now. We have the summit coming up that we've talked about, and so go check that out. I'll throw a link in underneath the replay of the live stream to make sure it's there. But that is all the time that we have today for Renegade News Live. But you do want to join us next Friday at 12 p.m. EST. And next week we'll be on time. Like I said, we had a couple of technical difficulties coming into it today, but so we were a few minutes late. But we're going to be on time, 12 p.m. EST every Friday for your next episode of Renegade News Live. Remember to type 5 in the comments, and we're going to send you a reminder. Plus, we'll get you a copy of the cheat sheets. I'm Glenn Kowalski, and if you love freedom of speech, and if you want to make a bigger impact while pursuing your life's mission, you need to be a renegade. I will see you next time. I'm looking forward to that. I cannot wait